theory of meridian and collaterals deals with the courses and distribution, physiological functions, pathological changes of the meridian and collaterals of the human body, and their relations to the Zangfu organs. It is one of the important components of traditional Chinese medicine. The meridian and collaterals pertain to the Zangfu organs interiorly and extend to the extremities and joints exteriorly, integrating the Zangfu tissues and organs into an organic whole by which they transport qi and blood and regulate yin and yang, keeping the functions and activities of all parts of the body in harmony and balance relatively. Jing means a path. It refers to the meridians which constitute the main trunks of the JingLuo system, run longitudinally and interiorly within the body. Luo means a net or something that connects or attaches. It refers to the collaterals which are branches of the meridians, thinner and smaller than meridians. They connect the whole body and distribute superficially. Meridians and collaterals link together the Zangfu organs interiorly and the extremities and joints exteriorly, unifying all the Zangfu tissues and organs of the body into a harmonious whole. They transport the qi and blood to nourish the whole body and keep the harmonious balance of the functions and activities of all parts of the body. The JingLuo system consists of meridians and collaterals. The meridians comprise 12 regular meridians, the 8 extra meridians, and those subordinate to the 12 regular meridians. That is to say, the 12 divergent meridians, 12 muscles regions, and the 12 cutaneous regions. The 12 regular meridians is the general term of the 3 yin meridians of hand, the 3 yang meridians of hand, the 3 yang meridians of foot, and the 3 yin meridians of foot. Their nomenclature is based on comprehensive factors, that is, yin or yang, a zang or fu organ, and the hand or foot they pass through. The meridians that pertain to the 5 zang organs and the pericardium pass through the medial aspect of the 4 limbs are called yin meridians. Those pertain to the 6 fu organs and pass through the lateral aspect of the 4 limbs are called yang meridians. The 3 yin meridians of the hand go from the chest to the hand. The 3 yang meridians of the hand run from the hand to the head. The 3 yang meridians of the foot travel from the head to the foot, and the 3 yin meridians of the foot go from the foot to the abdomen and chest. The 8 extra meridians is the general term of the Du meridian, the Ren meridian, the Chong meridian, the Zai meridian, the Yin Wei meridian, the Yang Wei meridian, the Yin Qiao meridian, and the Yang Qiao meridian. Except the Du and Ren meridians, the other 6 extra meridians have not their points. The collaterals include the 15 collaterals, the superficial collaterals, and the minute collaterals. The Lan meridian mainly distributes at the anterior border of the lateral aspect of the upper limb. It originates from the middle jaw, runs downward to connect with the large intestine. Winding back, it goes around the upper orifice of the stomach, passes through the diaphragm, and enters the lung, its pertaining organ. From the trachea and throat, it comes out transversely at the axilla, descends along the medial aspect of the upper arm, in front of the hand Shaoyin meridian and hand Jueyin meridian, and reaches the cubital fossa. It goes continuously downward along the border of the radius at the medial aspect of the forearm and enters the radial artery at the wrist. It passes the thenar eminence and goes along its radial border, ending at the medial side of the tip of the thumb. The branch proximal to the wrist emerges from Lieque and runs directly to the radial side of the tip of the index finger, where it links the large intestine meridian of hand Yangming. Diseases of the chest, lung, throat, trachea, and so on are the indications of this meridian. For example, cough, asthma, sore throat are symptoms of the lung meridian, which are treated by using Lieque, Taiyuan, and Shaoshang. The large intestine meridian mainly distributes at the anterior border of the medial aspect of the upper limb, neck, cheek, and the side of the mouth and nose. It starts from the radial side of the tip of the index finger and runs upward along the radial side of the index finger and passing through the interspace of the first and second metacarpal bones. It dips into the depression between the tendons of M. extensor pollicis, longus, and brevis, then following the radial border of the lateral aspect of the forearm. It reaches the lateral side of the elbow. From there, it ascends along the lateral anterior aspect of the upper arm to the shoulder. Then, along the anterior border of the acromion, it goes up to cervical vertebra to communicate with Dazhui, and descends to the supraclavicular fossa to connect with lung. It then passes through the diaphragm and enters the large intestine, its pertaining organ. The branch from the supraclavicular fossa runs upward to the neck, passes through the cheek, and enters the gums of the lower teeth, Then it curves around the mouth and crosses the opposite meridian at the philtrum. From there, the left meridian goes to the right and the right meridian to the left and ascend to the both sides of the nose, where the large intestine meridian links with the stomach meridian of foot Yangming. The diseases of the head, face, 5 sense organs, throat, and large intestine are the indications of this meridian. For example, Heguo of the large intestine meridian is used to treat facial paralysis, toothache. The stomach meridian mainly distributes at the head, face, neck, chest, abdomen, and the anterior border of the lateral aspect of the lower limb. It starts from the lateral side of the inner nail side. The right and the left meridians meet each other at the foot of the nose, where they meet the foot Taiyang meridian. Turning downward along the lateral side of the nose and enters the upper gum. Re-emerging, it curves around the lips and descends to meet Chengjiang at the mentolabial groove. Then it runs posterolaterally across the lower portion of the cheek at Dayin. Winding along Jiache, it ascends in front of the ear and traverses Shangguan, then it follows the hairline and reaches the forehead. The facial branch emerging in front of Dayin runs downward to Renying. From there, it goes along the throat and enters the supraclavicular fossa. Descending, it passes through the diaphragm, pertains to the stomach, and connects to the spleen. The straight portion of the meridian arising from the supraclavicular fossa runs downward, passing through the nipple. It descends by the umbilicus and enters Qi Chu. The branch from the lower orifice of the stomach descends inside the abdomen and joins the previous portion of the meridian at Qi Chong. Running downward, traversing Biguan, and further through Fu Tu. It reaches the knee. From there, it continues downward along the anterior border of the lateral aspect of the tibia, passes through the dorsum of the foot, and reaches the lateral side of the tip of the second toe. The tibial branch emerges from 3 cun below the knee and enters the lateral side of the middle toe. The branch from the dorsum of the foot arises there and terminates at the medial side of the tip of the great toe, where it links with the spleen meridian of foot Taiyin. The diseases of the stomach, intestines, the nervous system, and the lower limbs are the indications of this meridian. For example, Zusanli is commonly used to treat stomachache and diarrhea. The spleen meridian of foot Taiyin mainly distributes at the anterior border of the medial aspect of the lower limb, chest, and abdomen. It starts from the medial side of the tip of the big toe. It runs along the medial aspect of the foot at the junction of the red and white skin. Through the small head of the first metatarsal bone, it ascends in front of the medial malleolus up to the medial aspect of the leg. It follows the posterior aspect of the tibia, crosses, and goes in front of the liver meridian. Ascending along the knee and the anterior border of the medial aspect of the thigh. It enters the abdomen. It pertains to the spleen and connects to the stomach. From there, it ascends, passing through the diaphragm and running alongside the esophagus and throat. When it reaches the root of the tongue, it spreads over its lower surface. The branch from the stomach goes upward through the diaphragm and flows into the heart to link with the heart meridian of Han Shaoyin. The diseases of the reproductive system, urinary system, spleen, and stomach system are indications of this meridian. For example, Yin Bai and San Yun Jiao may be used to treat menorrhagia and disability of the spleen to govern the blood. The heart meridian of Han Shaoyin mainly distributes at the posterior border of the medial aspect of the upper limb. It starts from the heart. Emerging, it spreads over the tissues connecting the heart with the other zangfu organs. It passes through the diaphragm to connect with the small intestine. The ascending portion of the meridian from the heart system runs alongside the esophagus to connect with the eye system. The straight portion of the meridian from the heart system goes upwards to the lung. Then it runs downwards and emerges from the axilla. From there, it goes along the posterior border of the medial aspect of the upper arm behind the Han Tai Yin and Han Jie Yin meridian down to the cubital fossa. From there, it descends along the posterior border of the medial aspect of the forearm to the pisiform region proximal to the palm and enters the palm. Then it follows the radial side of the little finger to its tip and links with the small intestine meridian of Han Tai Yang. The diseases of the heart, chest, mind are the indications of this meridian. For example, Shen Men is used to treat insomnia, dream-disturbed sleep. The small intestine meridian of Han Shaoyin mainly distributes at the posterior border of the lateral aspect of the upper limb, neck, and face. It starts from the ulnar side of the tip of the little finger. Following the ulnar side of the dorsum of the hand, it reaches the wrist where it emerges from the styloid process of the ulna. From there, it ascends along the posterior border of the lateral aspect of the forearm, passes between the olecranon of the ulnar and the medial epicondyle of the humerus. and runs along the posterior border of the lateral aspect of the upper arm to the shoulder and the bone crevice posterior to the joint. Circling around the scapular region, it meets the artery on the superior aspect of the shoulder. Then it enters the supraclavicular fossa and connects with the heart. From there, it descends along esophagus, passes through the diaphragm, reaches the stomach, and pertains to the small intestine. The branch from the supraclavicular fossa ascends along the neck to the cheek. Via the outer canthus, it turns backward and enters the ear. The branch from the cheek runs upwards to the infraorbital region and further to the lateral side of the nose. Then it reaches the inner canthus to link with the bladder meridian of foot taiyang. The diseases of the head, nape, eye, ear, throat, and shoulder are the indications of this meridian. For example, Hou Xu is used to treat pain in the head and nape. Wan Gu is used to treat shoulder pain. The bladder meridian of foot taiyang mainly distributes at the head, nape, back, sacrum, and the posterior border of the lateral aspect of the lower limb. It starts from the inner canthus. Ascending to the forehead, it joins the due meridian at the vertex. From the vertex, a branch arises, running to the temple. The straight portion of the meridian enters and communicates with the brain from the vertex. It then emerges at the nape and bifurcates into two branches to go down. One branch runs downward along the medial aspect of the scapular region and parallel to the vertebral column. It reaches the lumbar region, where it enters the body cavity through the tendons and muscle beside the vertebral column. It connects to the kidney and pertains to the bladder. The branch of the lumbar region descends alongside the spine. And goes through the gluteal region. It further descends along the posterior border of the lateral aspect of the thigh and enters the popliteal fossa. Another branch from the nape runs down along the medial border of the scapula. Parallel to the vertebral column. It passes beside the great trochanter, along the posterior border of the lateral aspect of the thigh to the popliteal fossa. From there, it meets the preceding branch and descends through the gastrocnemius muscle to the posterior aspect of the external malleolus. Then running along the tuberosity of the fifth metatarsal bone, it reaches the lateral side of the tip of the little toe, where it links with the kidney meridian of foot Shao Yin. The diseases of the head, eye, nape, back, and the posterior aspect of the thigh are the indications of this meridian. For example, JingLuo is used to treat eye diseases. Weizhong is used to treat back pain. The kidney meridian of foot Shaoyin mainly distributes at the posterior border of the medial of the lower limb, the chest and abdomen. It starts from the inferior aspect of the small toe and runs obliquely towards the sole. Emerging from the lower aspect of the tuberosity of the navicular bone and running behind the medial malleolus, it enters the head. Then it ascends along the medial aspect of the leg to the medial side of the popliteal fossa and goes further upward along posterior border of the medial side of the thigh. It enters the vertebral column, pertains to the kidney, and connects to the bladder. The straight portion of the meridian emerges from the kidney. Ascending and passing through the liver and diaphragm, it enters the lung, runs along the throat, and terminates at the root of the tongue. A branch springs from the lung, joins the heart, and runs into the chest to link with the pericardium meridian of hand, Jue Yin. The diseases of the urinary and reproductive system, ear, throat, heart, lung, and so on, are the indications of this meridian. For example, Taixi and Zhaohai are used to treat seminal emission, impotence, and irregular menstruation. The pericardium meridian of hand Jueyin mainly distributes at the chest and the middle of the medial aspect of the upper limb. It starts from the chest. Emerging, it enters and pertains to the pericardium. Then it descends through the diaphragm to connect successively with the upper, middle, and lower jaw. A branch arising from the chest runs inside the chest, emerges from the costal region at the point 3 cun below the axilla, and ascends to the axilla. Following the medial aspect of the upper arm, it runs between the hand Taiyin and hand Shaoyin meridians to the cubital fossa. Further downwards to the forearm between the tendons of M. palmaris longus and M. flexor carpi radialis, entering the palm. From there, it passes along the middle finger right down to its tip. Another branch arising from the palm runs along ring finger to its tip and links with the Sanjiao meridian of hand Shaoyang. The diseases of the heart, chest, mind, and the palmar aspect of the upper limb are the indications of this meridian. For example, Neiguan is used to treat palpitation and insomnia. The Sanjiao meridian of Han Shaoyang mainly distributes at the middle of the lateral aspect of the upper limb, side of the neck, ear, and the temple. It originates from the tip of the ring finger, running upwards between the little and ring fingers, along the dorsum of the palm to the wrist. It passes through the space between the radius and the ulnar at the lateral aspect of the forearm, ascending through the olecranon and going along the lateral aspect of the upper arm. It reaches the shoulder region and meets the Du meridian at the superior aspect of the shoulder. Then it enters the supraclavicular fossa and spreads in the chest to connect to the pericardium. It descends through the diaphragm to the abdomen and pertains to the upper, middle, lower jaw successively. A branch originates from the chest. Running upwards, it emerges from the supraclavicular fossa. From there, it ascends to the neck, running along the posterior border of the ear and further to the area above the ear. Then it curves downwards to the cheek and terminates in the infraorbital region. The auricular branch arises from the retroauricular region and enters the ear. Then it emerges in front of the ear and reaches the outer canthus to link with the gallbladder meridian of foot Shaoyang. The diseases of the head, eye, ear, throat are the indications of this meridian. For example, Yi Feng, Zhongzhu can be used to treat deafness, tinnitus. The gallbladder meridian of foot Shaoyang mainly distributes at the temple, side of the neck, side of the trunk, and the middle of the lateral aspect of the lower limb. It originates from the outer canthus, ascends to the corner of the forehead, then curves downwards to the retroauricular region and runs along the side of the neck. Crossing the Sanjiao meridian at the shoulder, it enters the supraclavicular fossa. The retroauricular branch arises from the retroauricular region and enters the ear. It then comes out in front of the ear and reaches the outer canthus. The branch arising from the outer canthus runs downwards to Daying and meets the Sanjiao meridian in the infraorbital region. Then, passing through Jiache, it descends to the neck and enters the supraclavicular fossa, where it meets the branch which has already reached the place previously. From there, it further descends into the chest and passes through the diaphragm. It connects to the liver and pertains to the gallbladder. Then it runs inside the hypochondriac region, comes out from qi jie. From there, it runs along the margin, the pubic hair, and goes transversely into the hip region. The straight portion of the meridian runs downward from the supraclavicular fossa, passes in front of the axilla, along the lateral aspect of the chest, and meets the previous meridian at the hip region. Then it descends along the lateral aspect of the thigh to the lateral side of the knee, going further downward along the anterior aspect of the fibula all the way to its lower end. It reaches the anterior aspect of the external malleolus. It then follows the dorsum of the foot to the lateral side of the tip of the fourth toe. The branch of the dorsum of the foot springs out and runs between the first and second metatarsal bones to the distal end of the great toe, where it links with the liver meridian of foot jue yin. The diseases of the side of the head, eye, ear, throat, liver, gallbladder, side of the trunk, and the lateral side of the lower limb are the indications of this meridian. For example, Yang Quan is used to treat diseases of the gallbladder. The liver meridian of foot jue yin mainly distributes at the middle of the medial aspect of the lower limb, genitalia, and the side of the chest. It originates at the dorsal hair of the great toe, running upward along the dorsum of the foot, passing through a point 1 cun in front of the medial malleolus. It ascends to an area 8 cun above the medial malleolus, where it runs across and behind the spleen meridian of the foot tai yin. Then it runs further upward to the medial side of the knee, and along the medial side of the thigh to the pubic hair region, where it curves around the external genitalia and goes up to the lower abdomen. It then runs upward and curves around the stomach, pertains to the liver, and connects to the gallbladder. From there, it continues to ascend, passing through the diaphragm and branching out in the costal and hypochondriac region. Then it ascends along the posterior aspect of the throat to the nasopharynx and connects with the tissues that links with the eye and the brain. Running further upward, it emerges from the forehead and meets the due meridian at the vertex. The branch which arises from the tissues that links with the eye and the brain runs into the cheek and curves around the inner surface of the lips. The branch arising from the liver passes through the diaphragm, runs upward into the lung, and links with the lung meridian of hand tai yin. Dizziness and the diseases of the eye, liver, gallbladder, side of the chest, hernia, and the medial side of the lower limb are the indications of this meridian. For example, Tai Chung is used to treat dizziness. The due meridian. Arises from the lower abdomen and emerges from the perineum. Then it runs posteriorly along the interior of the spinal column to Fengfu at the nape, where it enters the brain. It further ascends to the vertex, winds along the forehead to the nasal column, and ends at the inside of the upper lips. The mental diseases and diseases of the nerve, nape, back, and sacrum are the indications of this meridian. For example, 水沟 is used to treat acute lumbar muscle sprain. The Ren meridian. Starts from the inside of the lower abdomen and emerges from the perineum. It goes anteriorly to the pubic region and ascends along the interior of the abdomen, passing through Guanyuan and the other points to the throat. Ascending further, it curves around the lips, passes through the cheek, and enters the infraorbital region. The diseases of the reproductive and urinary system and the relevant zangfu organs in the chest and abdomen, neck, mouth, and face are the indications of this meridian. For example, 中脘 is used to treat stomachache. The 12 regular meridians, the Du and Ren meridians, are termed the 14 meridians. They form the main trunks of the meridian and collateral system. The cyclical flow of the 12 regular meridians. The line meridian of Tai Yin starts from the stomach at the middle jiao, ends at the tip of the index finger to links with the large intestine meridian of Han Yangming. The large intestine meridian of Han Yangming starts at the tip of the index finger and ends at the side of the nose to links with the stomach meridian of Foot Yangming. The stomach meridian of Foot Yangming starts from the side of the nose, ends at the end of the big toe to link with the spleen meridian of Foot Tai Yin. The spleen meridian of Foot Tai Yin starts from the big toe and ends at the heart to link with the heart meridian of Han Shao Yin. The heart meridian of Han Shao Yin starts from the heart, ends at the tip of the little finger to link with the small intestine meridian of Han Tai Yang. The small intestine meridian of Han Tai Yang starts from the tip of the little finger, ends at the inner canthus to link with the bladder meridian of Foot Tai Yang. The bladder meridian of Foot Tai Yang starts from the inner canthus, ends at the tip of the small toe to link with the kidney meridian of the Foot Shao Yin. The kidney meridian of the foot Shaoyin starts from the bottom of the little toe, ends at the chest to link with the pericardium meridian. The pericardium meridian of hand Jueyin starts at the chest, ends at the tip of the ring finger to link with the Sanjiao meridian of hand Shaoyang. The Sanjiao meridian of hand Shaoyang starts at the tip of the ring finger, ends at the outer canthus to link with the gallbladder meridian of foot Shaoyang. The gallbladder meridian of foot Shaoyang starts at the outer canthus, ends at the tip of the big toe to link with the liver meridian of foot Jueyin. The liver meridian of foot Jueyin starts at the tip of the big toe, ends at the lung to link with the lung meridian of hand Taiyin. Then, the next cycle starts from the lung meridian again. The cyclical flow of the 12 meridians is maintained by means of meridian, flowing to meridian, yin flowing to yang as a ring without ends.
Yu 漫漫，披迹相伴。